Um, so we're talking about race, I guess. I'm gonna turn the TV off. Oh, it's not the glare of the TV. Um, but we're talking about race and how we as professionals, I guess, kind of interact with that subject topic and how we discuss it or view it in the context of working with students. And Berkeley kind of asked specifically what are some times that you or we as individuals have kind of dealt with racial issues in regards to, I guess, personally or with students. And it's actually something that I talk about a lot because I'm interested in it. So there are definitely some times that it's been a difficult subject, and there are other times that it's been a lot easier. I know growing up I had several really, really good black friends, and for us in the context of our friendship, race was never really an issue. And I felt like it was healthy that wasn't something that, I guess we probably talked about it. We kind of came from very different backgrounds, so I guess it probably came up in discussion, but it wasn't something that played a huge role in our friendship. So I try to really understand how others view that same topic. But it's interesting that we talked about this stuff in class because I feel like this is stuff that a lot of these ideas came up in theory when we were talking about racial identity development and that stuff. And I kind of felt like within the context of a lot of those theories, being a white male, I was blamed for a lot of things that I didn't think I had necessarily perpetuated. And maybe I'm remembering this correctly, so don't quote me. But I feel like I brought up a situation where I felt like I was discriminated against because I was white, and I was told by a professor, I'll leave nameless, that that wasn't possible because as a white person you can't be discriminated against. And I just didn't really think that was necessarily the case. So that's one instance. And I was actually having a conversation with one of my students last week sometime. And he is a young black man. And I think, and he's really interesting. He's a very interesting guy. He really he likes bugs a lot. But we were just talking about, he's one of my CAs, and we were talking about the role of the Housing and Res Life Department in education for our residents. Like, what are we supposed to do, especially with programming, things like that? What is our purpose on campus? And we were going through different topics, and I said, one of the things I brought up is like, we are on our campus is, I would say, pretty segregated. I don't think it's always an issue, but there's definitely a certain amount of tension there for some people along racial lines. And I asked him if it was our responsibility as as a department to bring awareness to some of those issues as far as race is concerned. And he said that he did not believe racism was a thing anymore, that people weren't racist, that people were I want to say he said something like bigamist, but I don't think that's really the right word. That he believed that people did not dislike others based on their skin tone, but based on their actions. And I'm not sure I really agree with him. I think there's a certain amount of racism based solely on skin tone there. And then I believe that people's interactions with others can be skewed so that they are stereotyping and treat everyone of other ethnicities a certain way because of past experiences, which I think is a form of racism. But it was really interesting to me because I feel like a lot of times white people, or not just necessarily white people, I guess, but people say, "Oh, I'm colorblind," and we talked about it in class, how that's just as bad. But I don't know if I've ever heard that viewpoint from someone that wasn't white. So, just from his experience, that there wasn't racism, that you dislike people because of how they act or how you assume they're going to act. So there's a couple of little instances right there of me dealing with that topic. And I like to think that it is something I talk about a lot with my students, because I want I want them to be aware of their own thoughts on the topic subject, and kind of hear what they have to say and see how that can influence, my way of thinking. You know, See if they feel like it's something that needs to be addressed a little bit more. So that's my ideas. Hope it was interesting.